Okay, let me make sure I got all my tech stuff set up here. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. I'm sure somebody on my team will inform me. So, welcome everybody. I am so excited to be doing this with you all. We've led a lot of 3-day water fasts. We actually have been leading 3-day water fasts for almost a decade now. And it is the most incredible experience and on so many different levels. So I know a lot of you are nervous. Some of you are like, let's go, let's do this. Some of you are like, I'm not really sure I'm going to go all 3 days. So I want to make sure that I address all of that today. And I love everybody's putting in where they're from. Amazing. Thank you. To me, the greatest part of this experience is that we can do it together as a worldwide community. So I'm just really excited to see everybody from all over the world. It's amazing. I'm watching the comments right now. So before I go into the ins and outs of this, what I would love to see from you all, we'll see how we can track this as it's all coming in very fast through the chat. How many of you, this is your first time doing a 3-day water fast? Just so I kind of know where we are with as far as experience levels. And then oh yeah, here we go. Awesome. Okay, helpful. Woo, a lot of first timers. I love it. Amazing. Okay, great. Then, as you guys are putting that in, I want to know what your number one fear is, because we're going to talk about the things that'll show up over the next 3 days. And yeah, oh, this is so good. Wow. Okay, let's see if I can read this. Wow. Hunger. Yeah, I thought hunger might be the biggest thing. I saw someone put coffee, tired. These are all normal fears, and I will address all of them. Headaches. Yep. Total normal, and we'll address it all. So, okay. Well, you guys are putting that all in. Let me just start off by giving you context in which to look at the next 3 days. So there are several reasons why you do a 3-day water fast and why it's a different fast than your typical 15-hour intermittent fasting experience. And so I want to discuss that first, because one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that if you are really clear as to what's going on in your body during this 3-day experience, it's much easier to stay on course. And, I came up with this idea a few years back as I was leading people through 3-day water fasts, that really the fuel for your body over the next 3 days becomes knowledge. So knowledge is your fuel. And what that means is the more you understand what your body's doing, the more you understand why you're doing it, the more you're dipped into the teachings of Fast Like a Girl or what I'm teaching on YouTube, the easier it is to stay the course. When we don't really understand why we're doing something, it's really easy to get knocked off course. So I want to start with, why are we doing this? Why would you put yourself through this experience? And what can you hope to gain on the other side of it? So here's the first thing I want to tell you on that. Fasting is a healing state. I continue to be blown away when we get DMs on our socials, the reviews that we've seen on Amazon, the emails that have been sent to us as Fast Like a Girl has gone out in the world. People, and this is both men and women, and I know we have both men and women in this group. So, but what has transpired as women, well, both men and women are learning the art of fasting, is you are putting yourself in a healing state that you cannot get with a medication, you cannot get with a supplement, you cannot get with even food. When we go without food, you turn on an intelligence inside your body that knows how to heal itself. So I want to start with that idea. You are basically, over the next several days, you are saying to this incredible wisdom that is inside your body, you're saying, I honor you. I want to understand you. I know that you have my best interest in mind. And I'm going to take food out of the equation so you can do what you were designed to do. I think this is maybe, one of the reasons that this is the most beautiful thing to be doing with the Hay House community, because that was Louise Hay's message, was you can heal yourself. And there are a lot of ways you can heal yourself, but the fastest way that I have ever seen is taking food out of the equation for 3 days and watching the miracles your body was designed to perform. And we live in a culture right now where we outsource our power when it comes to health. We think it's the medication that's healing us. We think it's the doctor that's healing us. We think it's the new weight loss drug that's healing us. Whatever it is, we outsource our power. And this is the week that you bring that power back and you say, okay, body, we've got this. We're going to do it together. And I'm going to see all of the miracles that you now are capable of performing. So over the next 3 days and over this week, you are truly honoring the inner wisdom of your body, which means when symptoms show up, oftentimes symptoms are the body repairing itself. So when we look at some of the things you may experience over the next couple of days, you might get a headache, you might get fatigued, you might have some brain fog, some of you might notice a rash, some of you are going to get pain in areas where the body needs repair. I want you to redefine how you think of symptoms. You have been brought up in a healthcare system, no matter where you are in the world, that has told you symptoms are bad, and that whenever a symptom shows up, you should get rid of it. But let's just use something like a fever. A fever is an incredible example of the body raising its temperature so that it can burn out an infection. Mucus, coughing, another incredible mechanism in the body that produces mucus so it can stick to the bacteria and viruses and get it out of your system. If you've ever sprained an ankle or injured a musculoskeletal part of your body and it inflames, the body's sending a mechanism there for repair. So the body often repairs itself, and in that repair, the symptoms don't feel so wonderful. So as a symptom shows up over the next couple of days, can you be curious why your body's giving you that symptom? So for example, if you get brain fog, instead of going, oh, I can't focus, or I can't, I don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of hours. That happens a lot, and I'm going to walk you through hour by hour what's going to happen, or at least in chunks. But as symptoms appear, can you be curious what your body's trying to repair? Let me give you an incredible example that I witnessed when we first started doing 3-day water fasts on my YouTube channel. The number of women that had carried and delivered babies, when they went into a 3-day water fast, there was a consistent discovery that they were getting pelvic pain and low back pain. Well, there is scar tissue that forms when the body has to carry and deliver a baby, and the body was sending stem cells to those repair sites to finally repair an area that's very difficult to repair post-pregnancy. And we saw this with hundreds of thousands of women all having the same type of pelvic and low back pain. The body was repairing itself. We have seen people who get really crazy rashes as the body pushes things out. We have seen people who have gone 2 days without food, and all of a sudden they start to get diarrhea as the body starts to get rid of what no longer serves it in the microbiome. So when you have this understanding that you're putting yourself in a healing state and you are doing whatever shows up is amplifying what needs to be healed. It's not meant to push that symptom away. It's meant to be curious about that symptom so that you know, and we're going to talk about this over the coming days, so that you know what potentially you need to work on. I've said this in my Reset Academy. In fact, those of you that are in my academy, put it in the chat because I know we've got a bunch of academy members. But in my Reset Academy for years, I've said that we use a 3-day water fast, not only to reset ourselves, but to have a self-discovery about what needs our attention. So the example that I've used over the years is that I used a 3-day water fast to heal an Achilles tendon injury. And I tried everything to be able to do that. And I went into this 3-day water fast. On the 4th, I actually continued it on 5 days. On the 4th day or the 3rd day, at the end of the 3rd day, I started to get a little buzz in my Achilles tendon, and I could feel the healing happening in that area. By the 5th day, the pain was gone. The pain has never come back. So these symptoms become like a guide for us to understand what we need to put our attention on. So take note, don't get mad at those symptoms. Now, I'm going to give you some hacks on what you can do to help the different symptoms. So I don't want to set you up for fear because this is a beautiful experience, but I don't want you villainizing symptoms. I want you to be curious about them because they will lead you to a higher place with your health. The other thing that I want you to really take note of is your mind chatter. So I'll give you an example. And I've wrote about this in many books and discussed this on my YouTube channel, that I'm really the most unlikely person to be teaching fasting because I was the hangry person. I carried around with me before I found fasting, carried snacks with me everywhere I went. If I didn't feel well, I ate. I was raised, and not for my mom, no, to diss my mom, but she taught me, if you're having a bad day, eat some food. It's a state changer. So I had this really, what I would consider a dysfunctional relationship with food. But I looked at food as a state changer. This part is really important for all of you. We all, if you're really honest, I would say most of us use food as a state changer. We're having a bad day. Our energy is low. We can't quite think straight. I got to do something to change this place I'm in. So I'm going to eat food to be able to change the course of what my mind is saying to me right now. Now, when I came to fasting, that was really hard because the first time I started to fast, when I was feeling low, maybe a little depressed, when I was feeling like I couldn't, I needed something to break up the monotony of the day, or I was feeling a little bit of dip in energy, I didn't have food as that resource anymore. But what I learned in that was a whole other set of tools that there is no way I would have found if I hadn't put myself in that fasted state. I learned, oh my gosh, you know what else changes my state is if I go for a walk. If I get out in the sun, I go for a 10-minute walk, all of a sudden my brain changes. I also learned, oh my gosh, if I put good music on, or I call a friend, or I take a nap, there's a lot of you are going to want to just take a nap. And I found a whole nother set of tools that I could use to change the mental chatter. So as you move along the next couple of days, I want you to really observe, what is my body saying to me? Because that might give me some indication as to what I need to focus on for healing. but what are my thoughts? And here's the way the thoughts work over the next couple of days. They're probably going at you really big right now. And typically what they say on the day before, or some of you have jumped in, is that they will say, the thoughts will be like, what are you doing? Why'd you sign up for this? Is this safe? Oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Am I capable of doing this? There's going to be a lot of mind chatter. And the first day, you're going to be excited and like, okay, here we go. This is going to be good. And then maybe by the noon, the first day, when you skip lunch, you might be like, okay, I got this. This isn't bad. And then you get to dinner and you're like, oh, whoa, this is harder than I thought. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 3 days. And then you wake up the next morning and the brain's like still talking to you and trying to steer you off course. Take note of what your mind is saying to you. One of the things we're doing this year that I'm so excited about is we are launching a Fast Like a Girl journal. It will come out in April, and I want the world to use it as a tool to understand how to navigate those thoughts. Until that point, what I want you is to be aware of those thoughts. For me, when I first started doing a 3-day water fast, that's when I got a hold of, oh my God, and this is full transparency, I was raised in a very loving household where if I was having a bad day, I had this loving mother that made me a meal. And she would sit down and she would eat the meal with me. And now I had equated food with that unconditional mother's love. And as wonderful as that was, I wanted to change my relationship to food. I didn't want to see food as a source of love. It's a source of healing that can happen, and we'll talk about that at the later part of the week. But I didn't want to have this emotional attachment to food. And the only way I discovered that was by putting myself into a fasted state and listening to the mind chatter. And there was all kinds of things that first day. It was like, you're going to lose energy. You can't do this. You're hypoglycemic, because that's what the messaging I had was, I'm a hypoglycemic person that gets hangry without food. And that's in my genetics. And so I had an opportunity to really undo those negative beliefs that I had around food. So you have that opportunity too. So make sure that you're not just dismissing the thoughts that are going to come up over the next couple of days, but that you're using them as an opportunity to get to know your body, your limiting beliefs, and get to know really what the relationship to food is for you. So massively important. Now, when we look at what happens over 3 days, I'm going to give you a general idea. And everybody's different. I almost don't want to give you this idea because I don't want you to think, I don't want any placebo effect. I don't want you to think this is going to happen to you, because everybody is different. So please know that. But the general way that a 3-day water fast works is that you come out of the gates the first day and you're excited, just like I said. And if you fasted before, intermittent fasted before, you're like, this isn't as hard as I thought it would be. Usually by the time you get to dinner that first night, that's where the mental chatter kicks in, because dinner tends to be the meal we spend the most time preparing, the most time eating. If you're at work, you're going to come home and be like, I'm not eating. And right now I'm hangry. I don't feel great. I'm not eating. So the first pivotal moment will be dinner on the first day that you are going to skip. So a couple of thoughts if that happens to you. First, watch a show, watch a movie. I'll tell you what I've gotten really into is listening to comedians at night. I feel like it's a beautiful state changer to just laugh and get your mind off the day And in a fasted state, it's even better because if you're laughing, you're increasing oxytocin. If you're increasing oxytocin, you bring cortisol down and you make yourself more insulin sensitive. So if you get to dinner tomorrow night and you're suffering, put a comedian on, put a show on, get your mind off of it. The other thing that I've noticed is that I often go to bed a whole lot earlier. So it's okay to go to sleep and just get your head out of the game. And no, I want you to sort of separate that part out of you that's chattering at you and maybe telling you, how are you going to do this? If you feel like this on the first day, how are you going to be able to make it 2 or 3 days? So if that shows up, I want you to put that little thought in a bubble and pull it out of you. Because here's what you need to know. Your body knows exactly what to do. This is not a game of doubt the body. This is a game of pull the mindset and the mind chatter out so the body can do what it's meant to do. That's what I tried to explain in Fast Like a Girl, is that when we put ourselves in these healing states, we are honoring the intelligence of the body, and your body has got this. So another phrase you may say is, my body's got this. I trust you. What an incredible reconnection to this home you get to carry around with you all day long, where you get to say to your body, I trust you. How many times do we walk around in a day and not trust our bodies? So when we hit that first day and the negative thoughts come up around dinner, have a go-to statement. You've got this. I trust you. I'm so excited to watch all the healing you're going to perform. Say positive things to yourself and go to sleep. Sleeping is phenomenal to do because now you're healing when you're sleeping, you're healing when you're fasting. It's a beautiful combination. Now, this is what happens at night in a fasted state. You have 2 fuel sources for the brain. You have glucose, which is a fancy term for sugar, and you have ketones. So your brain needs both of those. When you are sleeping, your brain is healing. And your brain is figuring out how to get all the organs in your body to heal. This is the captain of the ship. So in order to keep your brain working at its best, you've got these ketones that maybe you've never experienced before. So that's going to heal the brain. But somewhere around 2 to 3 in the morning, usually the body will release stored sugar. We call that glycogen. And so glycogen is sugar that your body has packed away, and it has packed it away in 3 areas. It has put it in fat, so you start to burn fat. It has put it in the liver, and it has put it in muscles. So as you're sleeping, your body, as it senses the blood sugar going down, it senses that you've switched over into this fat burning place, it starts to access the glucose that it has stored years ago. For those of you that are looking to lose weight, this is where it's magic, because the body goes and finds that in the fat around your arms, in your belly, in your booty, wherever you're wanting to lose it, it goes and finds it. It knows how to go get it and burn it because it's so intelligent. So if you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and you're hungry, again, remind yourself, hey, body, go find what you stored years ago. I know you got this. Again, there's constant self-talk of letting your body know it's got this. What many of you are going to figure out is when you wake up on that second day, the hunger is gone. This happens so much where you go to bed hungry, you wake up not hungry, because the body regulated your metabolic switch at night. And you'll have that sort of fresh perspective on day 2. So as you go along day 2, the morning time may be okay. and you might start to get a burst of mental clarity from those ketones. You might see that the ketones have shut off that hunger hormone. You might have a sense of optimism on the morning of the second day. And then as the afternoon of the second day goes on, that can be the most difficult moment. So when you get to the afternoon of the second day, I want you to have a tool set and be prepared for that. So you, again, it may be movies, it may be a comedian, it may be going and hanging out with maybe it's calling some of the people. I mean, we have 100,000 people that are doing this together. So maybe you've brought somebody into this fold with you and you call them and you're like, okay, she said day 4 or hour 40 was going to be brutal, and it's brutal. Sometimes it just feels good to get it off your mind and just get it out there, and then move into one of those state changers. Go for a walk, laugh somehow, get your mind off of it, because your body knows what to do. I find if you can get over that second day hurdle, the third day is where the magic happens. So I just want to walk you through this thought. If you get to the end of the first day and you're like, oh, I'm suffering now. How am I going to be able to do this 3 days? I want you to know the next morning you're going to wake up and you're going to have a new perspective. I promise you. Then when you get to that second day, when you're like, oh, I don't know if I can continue to do this, I want you to know that the third day is the day that everything gets easier. And it's the third day where the stem cells kick in. And we'll talk about that in a moment. And when stem cells kick in, they repair the body. And I don't want you to miss that. So getting to that third day is massively important to get those stem cells. People right now are paying $10,000 to $20,000 for an injection of stem cells into their body. You're going to get it on that third day for free. So if you can get past the second day, afternoon, evening, you're coming down the home stretch to the third day. Typically what happens on the third day is you wake up and you go, oh my God, I did it. I just have to get to tonight where I'm going to break my fast. And so there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So know that if you hit any point along the 3 days where you're like, I'm not doing well now, what's going to happen 12 hours from now? It changes. The experience changes. So just because you may be hangry at 2 o'clock on the second day doesn't mean you're going to be hangry at 7 a.m. on the third day. It changes because your body knows how to regulate itself in the fasted state. So from a mindset perspective, keep that in mind. Now, what are all the things that are going to happen to you beyond just stem cells? And I want to walk through this because this is where the miracle is. And this is what I wrote about in Fast Like a Girl. So I talk about these 6 different length fasts. I would encourage you to read the part of the book. It's the second chapter. Let me grab my book. It is the second chapter where I go through the miracles of fasting. So it's called The Healing Power of Fasting. And it is chapter number 2. Let me just make sure I'm quoting that right. And I talk about the research. Yep, chapter number 2, The Healing Power of Fasting. I go through each fast and I talk about what's happening to your body. If you hit hour 36 or hour 30 and you're in doubt, I want you to pick the book up and I want you to go to hour number 30 or to hour number 24, where I put the gut reset fast in the bottom. And I want you to read that and then read where you're going, the fat burning fast at 36 hours. And then read what's going to happen to you at 48 hours. You may need to read that over and over and over again, because remember, knowledge is your fuel. You may also go to my YouTube channel and watch the videos there and just immerse yourself in the knowledge that the body's healing itself. So with that in mind, here's what's going to happen to your body in the next 3 days. Somewhere around 12 hours of without food, you're going to metabolically switch, and you're going to come over into this fat burning place that so many people haven't discovered. And your body, your intelligent body, is going to sense that glucose hasn't gone up and that glucose actually may be going down. So the lack of food changes your blood sugar. We call that glucose. And now it is starting, that glucose is starting to go down. The old version of you, when the glucose went down, ate so that glucose would go back up. This week's version of you is your body, what it's going to sense and what it's going to know to do. You don't have to tell it. It will do this naturally on its own. Is it will trigger this metabolic switch that says, okay, I know that I stored some glucose years ago. I'm going to go find that and I'm going to burn that. It starts that process at 12 hours. For those of you that are like, well, I don't want to lose weight, I guarantee you there is stored excess around organs. There is stored excess in muscles. Your body will find the right path. And as we move along this week, I'll talk about what the power of breaking the fast. And those of you that don't want to lose weight, I'll talk about how the entry back into food, how you can actually gain muscle. So that's coming in the coming days. So sit tight with that one. Around 12 to 15 hours, as the body has shifted over, it's burning fat, making a ketone. It also triggers growth hormone. So growth hormone you stop getting after 30. And at this moment, around 12 to 15 hours, the body kicks in growth hormone, and growth hormone slows the aging process down and burns fat. Okay, why would the body want more growth hormone? Because this is the moment that the body is starting to build itself stronger in the face of adversity. Let's talk about that for a moment. We live in a nutrition and diet culture that doesn't move us out of comfort. If we're hungry, I don't even have to get off my couch. I can pick up my phone and I can order a DoorDash and have them bring my favorite restaurant to my front door. And I can just when it's arrived, I can get up off my couch and I can go and get my DoorDash. And there's literally, food has become so easily accessible that we are, as a culture, not leaning in to this fasted state, giving our brains and our body a little bit of difficulty so that it can build itself stronger. You do not build your body stronger when it is easy. Think about everything in your life, every moment of difficulty that you have had in your life. It sucked in the moment, but then you came out of it a stronger, better, more resilient person. That's what's happening starting somewhere around 12 to 15 hours. Is you've switched over, the body is now repairing. As you continue on at 17 hours, your cells are going to now sense that not only has glucose gone down, but nutrients have gone down. And as nutrients have gone down at that 17-hour mark, your body kicks into a process called autophagy. Autophagy is where the inner wisdom of these cells, you have 72 trillion cells, the inner wisdom of this cell looks around the cell and says, okay, members of the cell, the nucleus, the mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, the cellular membrane, hey, we don't have glucose coming in, we don't have nutrients coming in, we need to be a better version of ourselves. And what will happen is your cells will begin to repair themselves. Mitochondria will start to make more glutathione so it can detox anything within that cell that's not serving you, any pathogen, any plastic. There's some thought that it even pushes out heavy metals. We can talk about that as the days go on, but the body pushes out what no longer serves us in that cell. One of the greatest studies I ever found during COVID that I just wish everybody would embrace is that at 17 hours when autophagy kicks in, is that if there's a bacteria or virus in that cell, the intelligence within your cell will actually kill that bacteria and virus. So those of you that have Epstein-Barr virus, those of you that maybe have Lyme, those of you that have been exposed to mold and you're trying to detox mold, your body's got it at 17 hours. It's kicked in autophagy and it's starting to repair itself. Now, once that intelligence has been triggered, it's like a doctor inside the cell. Once that intelligence has been triggered, what happens sometimes is it says, hey, this cell is really in bad shape. In fact, I think this cell is going to go rogue on me and turn into a cancer cell. And so it will orchestrate something called apoptosis. Apoptosis means it will kill the cell and get it out of your system. This is where you may notice some diarrhea, you may notice some brain fog, some of you might get constipated, you might get a rash, because the body is getting rid of what no longer serves you. I think this is one of the reasons I love fasting, is it's a way of getting rid of cells that would have become chronic disease for you. And so at 17 hours, that kicks in. And your cells the old ones are going away, the new ones are becoming better versions of themselves. At 24 hours without food, it triggers in the gut that you have to repair any damage inside the gut. What your brilliant body does is make intestinal stem cells. Stem cells are cells that can go anywhere in the body and repair themselves. So at 24 hours into this fast, your digestive system completely repairs itself, because these stem cells, again, are so ridiculously powerful. They look around and they're like, whoa, there's like holes in the mucosal lining of the gut. We better fix that. That's called leaky gut. And it's a very common condition that many of you know you have. It is one in my conversations with Dr. Stephen Gundry when he wrote The Energy Paradox. I had multiple conversations with him, and he talked about the number one reason people don't have the right energy is because they have a leaky gut. Well, at 24 hours, your it's repairing that. You don't have to take a supplement. You don't have to do anything. It's repairing it. What else your body does is it looks around it and it changes the pH inside the environment. It takes the microbes that are all clumped together and it spreads them out. And it takes the whole terrain inside your gut and makes it a better situation, because the body knows when food comes, we better be able to use that food for good. So you are literally repairing your gut at 24 hours without a supplement, without a fancy treatment. The body figures it out on its own. At 36 hours, based off of research, again, all of these markers have multiple research with it. At 36 hours, that is the moment for many of you that the body will discover that stubborn weight that you have been trying so hard to get rid of. It will find that at 36 hours. So I can't tell you how many people will say to me, I'm stuck with weight loss. I'm stuck with weight loss. I'm trying everything I can to lose weight. And they go into these longer fasts, and at that 36-hour mark, all of a sudden, it just falls off. The body just falls off. When I first started doing this in my clinic, I could tell when somebody walked in the door of my clinic. I would look at them, and it was like they had taken a coat of fat, and it had just fallen off. When you lose weight fasting, it's not like you're losing weight because you're not eating. You're losing weight in all parts of your body because the body has to use fat for its survival. And that happens around 36 hours. The research shows that it will go to belly fat first. So those of you that are wanting to lose that belly fat, that 36-hour mark, that's where the body's going. At 48 hours, in order to make sure that you are motivated to go find food, your whole dopamine system is going to be reset. So those of you that are feeling depressed, my menopausal women that are struggling with the loss of progesterone and estrogen, and you just feel like you're missing the joy in life, at 48 hours, what happens is the dopamine system, which is the production of dopamine and the little receptor sites that take dopamine in, that whole system gets rebooted and new dopamine receptor sites are formed. That happens at 48 hours. So those of you that hit that 40-hour mark or that 38-hour mark and you're like, I can't do it, what I want you to know is that 48 hours, joy is coming. It's coming. That whole system is being rebooted because your body needs you to be motivated and happy to go find food. So it's trying to do everything it can to get you to go find food. And so you're using this, what we call a hormetic stress, a small little stressor to reboot these whole systems so that you can heal yourself. And that dopamine system, in a world where we are dopamine addicted, where we have all the likes and the dings and the whistles that happen to our phone and the frequency of food, every time we're eating, we're getting a dopamine hit, all of that is being rebooted. In fact, those of you that are here to lose weight, I want to tell you that this research shows that people who either have a food addiction or are diagnosed as being obese, that they don't necessarily get the same joy out of food. And so what happens is they have to keep eating more food and more food and more food to get that same dopamine high. So when we take 48 hours and we pull food out of the equation and we reboot that system, now for the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, however you choose, your relationship with food will feel different. You're going to get more joy out of food. And you're not going to be using food as an emotional crutch as much. And you're going to be seeing that some simple, small amount of food gives you a dopamine high. That happens at 48 hours. And then at 72 hours, that's where we see this full systemic experience. You get stem cells. Why would the body, as you approach 72 hours, give you stem cells? Because it has to make you stronger to go find food. Remember, we are primal, and back in the hunter-gatherer days, if you went 3 days without food, you needed motivation, you needed fat to be burned, so you had extra glucose, and you needed repair. You needed to repair anything that was injured. Let's say you had torn an ankle hunting and trying to find food. You got to repair that. And you've got to be mentally alert so you could go make a kill. Now, we don't have to make a kill anymore, but we're using those mechanisms. And on that last day, the body is giving you the systemic stem cell reaction to repair what is not repairable using food. And it also reboots the whole immune system. So it gets your immune system, it takes out old white blood cells and puts new white blood cells in and repairs the whole immune system. Again, I was like screaming this from my YouTube channel when we were in COVID. I was like, God, if we could just get everybody fasting, we would get autophagy, we would shut down viral replication, and we would rebuild the immune system, and everybody could do that for free. That's what's happening for you over the next 3 days. And as you get closer to that 72 hours, all those stem cells are surging through your body. So many of you on that third day, especially the afternoon of the third day, are going to feel the best you've ever felt. You're going to notice joints move better. You're going to notice you can reach down and pick something up off the floor. You're going to notice that your mental clarity is the best it's ever been. And many of you are going to say to me on that day of the third day call, you're going to say, can I go longer? And we'll talk about that on the third day. So it may seem like I can't even imagine saying that when on the day before the first day, but I promise you it happens every single time. So that's the healing that's going to happen, a physical healing that's going to happen over the next 3 days. Now, let's talk a little bit about the spiritual healing that can happen. I really want you all to set an intention for the next 3 days. What is it that you're hoping to discover about yourself? Or is there a challenge in your life, a hurdle that you just can't seem to get over? Because what will happen to your mind as the days go on is that you're going to go from a lot of mind chatter on day 1 and maybe the morning of day 2. But as you turn that corner at 48 hours, you're going to be shocked that the thoughts just calm. And when the thoughts calm, inspiration and insight comes in. This is why every religion uses fasting. It is one of the most powerful tools for discovering new parts of yourself, new parts of your life you want to bring in. It's an incredible tool to be able to answer challenges that you may be facing that you just can't wrap your head around. So today, I want you to write down what you are hoping to discover about your body and what you're hoping to discover about your life in the next 3 days. And I want you to start to take note how the answer will drop in. And typically, the answer drops in at the end of day 2 into day 3. If you have a religious practice, if you have a meditation practice, get ready, because it is crazy how much inspiration pours in. So I don't want you to lose the ability to change your life, not only physically. I also want you to change your relationship to food, but I want you to understand that there are going to be elevated thoughts that pop into your brain. Write them down. Take note of them. I have a friend who's several people are doing this with a group of people or with their business, and they're setting an intention today around their business, or they're setting an intention today about what they want to create in their business, and then collectively they're going to listen. And then if you're doing that with a group of people or a business or a company or a workplace, at the end of the week, get together and talk about what you all noticed. My team that's on the line, take note, because we as a team will be talking about this on our next team call, because it's too juicy. It's too, this opportunity isn't going to come during the year as clearly as it's going to come over the next 3 days. Okay, now with that all in mind, how do we prepare today, and what do we do with the symptoms? What are some hacks we can do when the symptoms appear? So today, I want to make sure you drink enough water today. What will probably happen over the next couple of days is usually by day 3, you don't want to drink as much water. So be aware of that. It's funny how that, like the first time I fasted this long, I was like gripping like my water bottle. I just carried it around with me like all day long, because it was like, this is the only thing I know to do if my body wasn't feeling good. By the third day, I was like, where'd that water bottle go? I don't even know where I put it. And I wasn't, as ketones go up, so does GABA, and GABA is a calming hormone. I'm telling you, that third day, there's just something magic that just pops in, because you're calm, you're focused. the end is near, all that healing has happened. I don't want you to miss that third day because it's profound. So make sure you're drinking enough water today. Make sure you drink enough water over the next couple of days. I also would encourage you to eat more protein and more fat today and less carbohydrates. We want to stabilize your blood sugar. So make sure that you're upping the protein and you're eating good fat like avocados and MCT oil and olive oil and flaxseed oil. Those oils are great. If you're going to do carbs today, do them from nature. Some of the fruits, I would do the lower glycemic fruits like berries and apples. You could do lots of vegetables today. So we're already getting the microbiome repaired and getting it the nourishment that it needs. I would avoid the breads, the pastas, the cakes, the cookies today. Now, I've seen people go from the standard American diet into a 3-day water fast and do fine. But I would like you to thrive in this state. So be prepared today by doing those two things. Now, some of you, I saw the questions in there, are saying, well, what about coffee? I'm going to give you 2 options with coffee. If you have not tapered yourself off coffee, you could go cold turkey. Of course, your symptoms are going to be worse. I hope you are aware of that. Or you could try a little bit of black coffee during this fast in the morning. I know that's not like fasting, it's not to a T based off of like the research, but I'd rather you do a little bit of coffee because we know coffee can stimulate autophagy. I'd rather you do a little bit of coffee, like a little espresso shot, than really suffer. And then on day 2, you all of a sudden are doing horribly. So just make sure it's clean coffee. It has to be chemical-free, organic, mold-free. So we'll talk about that in the coming days. The other thing that I'm a huge fan of is minerals. So I will give you 2 options, and I'm sure links will be sent out. You can go to my website and find the links for sure. But Element, a lot of you use Element. Element is a pack of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and putting that pack with it has some flavoring in it, putting that in water, especially starting day 2, really helps mitigate the symptoms, the brain fog, the hunger, because a lot of you are going to be hungry because you're mineral deficient. And if you give your body minerals, then you're not hungry anymore. So my team just put a link in there. You can see it if you want to get some Element. Very easy packet that you can put in water. My other favorite mineral supplement is Beam Minerals. It's a liquid and also can really help with the process of the 3-day water fast. So you could lean into both of those. They're giving you a different mineral load. Even though they're both called minerals, they're giving you different types of minerals that will get into the cells differently. So that's an important note. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about something that I discovered in the literature that's worked really well called a fasted snack. Not going to talk about it today, but you'll have to pop on the call tomorrow to learn about the fasted snack. And some of you may choose to lean into the fasted snack. So I'll talk about that tomorrow. I just said MCT oil. If you're going to do coffee, a little bit of coffee, I'm not saying go to Starbucks. That's chemical laden coffee. So please, I want to make sure we are doing the best, cleanest thing we can do. If you're doing a chemical-free coffee or a chemical-free herbal tea, yes, you can do herbal tea. You might want to put a little MCT oil in it. MCT oil will kill hunger. So some of you might find that even a scoop of MCT oil in the afternoon may help with killing hunger. And most of us, depending on where you live, can kill hunger. Stevia, I just saw somebody put stevia in. Stevia is a no. Any cream that you would put in, creamer in your coffee is a no. We're talking black coffee. Stevia can raise insulin, not glucose, but it can raise insulin. So those are kind of the drinks that you can have, and those two minerals will help mitigate symptoms. The other thing is that the MCT oil, remember, can be this thing that helps you go over into the ketogenic state and kill the hunger a little bit easier. So that's an option as well. Outside of that, I do things like sparkling mineral water. It just, the little bubbles sometimes feel better in my mouth. I've done things like put sparkling water in my favorite wine glass when I'm fasting, because I know that it does something to my brain. It feels fancy. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not drinking wine, obviously, but I am going to put it in my favorite wine glass, and it creates another level of oxytocin. So know that that sometimes can be helpful as well. I had, if you're doing it with a loved one or a friend, I had 2 women in my practice who decided to support each other on a 3-day water fast. And they would call each other at 3 p.m. each day and say, okay, it's time for our element tea snack, or it's time for our mineral water snack, or our tea snack. They called it a snack. They did it together. It didn't obviously pull them out of the fasted state, but I thought it was a beautiful way. Call it a snack. Let your brain, a lot of this is a mental game. So let your brain sort of get that dopamine rush from, I'm putting the mineral water in a fancy glass. It's novel. It feels exciting. Dopamine kicks in, and you'd be amazed at how much that can work. So be creative. Just really look at how you can be creative. So with all of that in mind, gum is a no. I just saw somebody put gum. That's a big one, because a lot of times stevia, gum, some of those little things, Diet Coke, NutraSweet in it, those can actually spike your blood sugar and make it so that you don't switch over and get into this deeper fasted state. Okay, last thing I want to say is really be mindful of who you surround yourself with this week. There are going to be people that will be concerned about you. And, that's okay. It's lovely. It's nice that they're concerned about you. They may not understand what fasting is. If they're concerned about you, if you're concerned about you, I highly recommend getting a glucose monitor or a ketone reader. Our favorite is Keto Mojo. You can probably still order one and get it sent to you overnight. Do some readings, some glucose and ketone readings. I'll be talking about that over the next couple of days. So look at the possibility of maybe knowing what your blood sugar numbers are, and that's a beautiful way of knowing if you're safe or not. Tomorrow morning, for tomorrow's call, I'll be talking about those numbers for those of you that have that reader. But that's a good way to help the people that are concerned about you. You're also, this is a tough one. You are going to find that you may trigger people. When we put ourselves in a healing state, especially when it comes to weight loss or doing something great for ourselves, and somebody around us is watching that, sometimes they feel crummy about themselves watching you take a stand for your health. It's a very subconscious thing. And so I just encourage you, if anybody in your environment is telling you, this is dangerous, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And really trying to pull you off course, I encourage you to avoid them over the next 3 days. If they live in your home, you just got to be very clear. They may watch ask them if they truly love you. You may ask them to just listen into these calls, or grab this section, read chapter 2 of my book, because a lot of times people don't know. And then a lot of times it triggers for them what they're not doing around your health. I want you to be like this over the next couple of days. I want you to keep your eye on the healing prize. I want you to block out the naysayers. I want you to block out the negative noise and allow yourself the opportunity that is before you to not only rock this fast, but to learn how your relationship to food, and to learn what your body needs, and to have this spiritual experience, and to know what your own inner sense is telling you. With all the noise with social media, with all the information that's coming at us, we don't have enough opportunities to hear our own voice. So if the voices around you are distracting, just push them away and keep your eye on the prize. Listen to this call over and over again. Read my book. Go listen to me on my podcast. I'm in a lot of places that you can listen to me. I want you to hear my voice leading you forward, and then I want you to hear your own voice. And yes, that voice may be telling you all kinds of crazy things, but boy, I cannot wait for you to see how that negative monster, as Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul calls it, the neurotic roommate that is in our head that's already talking. Like day 2, the neurotic roommate shows up for a moment and then goes away. And this true essence of who you are and your true voice appears. And I don't want you to miss that. That is why this is such a spiritual journey. So I'm excited for you. I know there's a bazillion questions to answer. Those of you that are in the VIP experience with me on Friday, I will be taking questions from you all and answering your individual questions. So please know that there's a lot of learning to do this week. A lot of you are leaving me. I can see right now you're asking about supplements and medications, and there's going to be a lot of that coming up. And I will be addressing that over the next couple of days. Just so we're completely safe, I do want to address the medication issue, that if you've been put on a medication, you do not get off of it without your doctor's knowledge or your doctor's consent. So please be mindful of that. Some of you are going to say, well, what if I need to take my medication with food? We're going to address that tomorrow. So tomorrow I will go through supplements. I will go through medications. I will deepen our understanding of this fasted state. But today I just wanted to set the frame and get you excited about what you are about to step into, because it's miraculous. It's literally miraculous in so many levels. So I'm so excited for you. Some of you, if you want some continued support, you can become a member of our Resetter Collaborative. It's free. It's on Facebook. Some of you are going to want to deepen your fasting experience and join our academy, which is a membership group. We'll talk about that. But the reason I tell you that is I want you to know you are not alone. We have 100,000 people doing this experience together. That is a collective energy that has some force with it. And there is support all around you. So lean into that support and know that, as I say in all my YouTube videos, from the bottom of my heart, I am cheering you on, and I cannot wait to see the person you're going to be 4 days from now. It's just an incredible journey. So super excited you're here. I'll be back tomorrow so we can continue this conversation. Drink your water, eat your protein, up your good fat, and we'll all launch it together tomorrow. So appreciate you all, and I'm cheering you on.